You ever see an animal do something and just think, why? I mean, a spider spinning that perfect web, a bird flying literally across the planet. These actions are like a secret window into their world, right? A world driven by instinct, by learning, and just the raw pressure to survive. Well, today, we're going to decode some of that. And believe it or not, it all kicks off with a goose and a kind of weird question. So why would a goose roll an egg that isn't even there? I know it sounds a little nuts, but this one question, it's the key that unlocks a massive concept in how animals behave. And it all starts with a totally normal scene you might see out in nature. Okay, so picture this. You've got a gray-lag goose, right? She's sitting on her nest, being the perfect mom, making sure all her eggs are safe and sound. It's, the postcard image of maternal care. But then, whoops, a little accident. One of the eggs rolls just out of the nest. Not far, just out of reach. Now for the goose, this is a red alert. It's a trigger for a very, very specific automatic response. And without even thinking about it, she kicks into gear. She stretches out that long neck of hers, uses her beak to gently nudge the egg, and just meticulously starts rolling it back. It's this super precise, totally predictable move.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. This is where the scientists, the early ethologists, got curious. They thought, all right, what if we mess with this? What happens if we snatch the egg away while she's in the middle of her big rescue mission?
And the answer is, honestly, it's bizarre. The goose doesn't even notice. She keeps going. She finishes the entire motion, pulling back an invisible phantom egg all the way to the nest. And then she settles back down like, phew, job done. This weird, unstoppable action. That's the whole key right there. So what in the world is going on here? Well, it tells us that the goose isn't making a conscious choice. It's not thinking, oh, where'd the egg go? Nope. It's like a little computer program has been launched and it has to run to completion no matter what. And that leads us to one of the biggest questions in all of biology. Are animals' actions hardwired or are they learned? This whole egg rolling thing is the textbook example of what's called a fixed action pattern, or FAP for short. Think of it like a reflex, but way more complex. It's an instinctive series of moves that, once it gets triggered by something specific, it plays out all the way to the end, every single time. Let's just break that down with our goose, right? Step 1, she sees the stimulus, the egg outside the nest. That's the trigger. Step 2, that trigger flips a switch in her brain and initiates the action, the neck stretching and rolling. And step 3, the program runs to completion. It has to finish, even if the egg has vanished into thin air. So yeah, these fixed action patterns, they are 100% in the innate behavior camp. Innate just means it's hardwired, it's in their DNA. The animal is literally born knowing how to do it, no practice needed. And that's the total opposite of learned behaviors, which are, things you pick up from experience. And you see these innate behaviors everywhere, and they are absolutely critical for survival. I mean, think about it. A spider spinning a perfect, intricate web on its very first try. No one taught it how. Or get this, a cuckoo chick that's just hatched, it instinctively pushes the other eggs right out of the nest to get all the food. That's not a learned skill. That is a cold, hard survival program. And then on the flip side, you've got learned behaviors. And this is where animals show how amazingly adaptable they can be. A chimp learning to use a stick as a tool by watching its mom. A dog figuring out that a bell means food's coming. Or a lion cub learning the ropes of hunting from the rest of the pride. All of these are skills that come from living life and paying attention. So whether we're talking about something hardwired or something learned, these behaviors aren't just random quirks. Not at all. They are super finely tuned strategies for the most important parts of life. Finding a mate, talking to each other, and just getting around in the world. Let's talk about finding a mate. It's pretty much the highest stakes game in nature, right? And so often, it's all about these complex, built-in courtship rituals. These elaborate dances and displays, they're basically a way to make sure you're pairing up with the right species and that everyone's on the same page. And what's so cool about the stickleback fish dance is that it's not just one fixed action pattern, it's a whole chain of them. The male does his little zigzag dance, and that's the trigger for the female to swim closer. Her swimming closer is then the trigger for him to lead her to the nest. It's like a perfectly choreographed conversation, but it's all pre-programmed. But it's not all about mating. A lot of the time, survival means being able to live and work with others. And to do that, you need clear communication. And guess what? A lot of that can be instinctual too.
Probably the most famous example of this is the honeybee's waggle dance. And this is just mind-blowing. It's not just a bee wiggling around for fun, it is a super sophisticated language. The angle of the dance tells the other bees exactly what direction the food is, using the sun as a compass point. And how long the bee waggles for, that tells them precisely how far away it is. Incredible!
And sometimes survival means you've got to move. And I don't just mean moving to the other side of the forest. I mean moving across the entire planet. Migration has to be one of the most jaw-dropping examples of innate programming out there. I mean, just look at the Arctic tern. This little bird flies from the Arctic all the way down to Antarctica, and then all the way back, every single year. That is a round trip of 70,000 kilometers. It's the longest migration on Earth. And how do they do it? They're following an internal compass and a genetic map that's been handed down for generations. Just wow. So how do we even know all this stuff? Well, our understanding of these incredible behaviors really comes down to the work of a few brilliant pioneers. They were the ones who founded the whole field of ethology, the study of animal behavior out in the wild. You've got guys like Konrad Lorenz. He's the one who figured out the fixed action patterns with his geese. Then there's Nico Tinbergen, who gave us a whole framework for how to analyze these behaviors. And Carl von Frisch, he's the genius who decoded that amazing bee dance. These three, together, completely changed how we look at the animal kingdom. So why does any of this matter? I mean, besides just being really, really cool to know. Well, understanding why animals do what they do actually has some huge implications for us, both practically and, well, philosophically. Think about it. This knowledge is absolutely crucial for wildlife conservation. You can't protect a species if you don't understand its most basic, innate needs. It's also key for animal welfare, helping us build better, more natural environments for them. And maybe the deepest reason, it gives us a little peek into our own evolutionary history. Because in the end, when you study the automatic programming of a goose or the intricate language of a bee, you can't help but turn that lens back on ourselves. Their behavior is this amazing window into a world shaped by genes and evolution. And that just leaves you with one big, final question to chew on. What kind of hidden programs, what ancient instincts are still pulling the strings in our own lives?